Alright, ladies and gents, this is Nolan back here with an iPad caricature of John Clary. I'm just going to go over how to basically render out a sketch by kicking your opacity down in your bottom or your second to bottommost layer. You want to keep the very bottom layer open for background color. It's very important to leave that white for the time being. I'll be going over color a little bit later on in another tutorial. But as you can see right now, I'm on the second most bottom layer, and I have my opacity kicked down to about 25%, and I'm using my black pencil tool. I'm basically just sketching out a picture of John right now as we speak, getting everything where I want it, and now I'm going to my topmost layer, kicking my opacity back up to 100%, and now I'm starting to actually render out all of those details. Right now I'm starting off with his nose. And as you can see, my line width right now is at about 30%, and I kick it down to about 10 for some of the finer details. With my settings, I've tried to emulate a dagger stroke, very similar to what you would get with a marker, the best I can. So with that, my attempt is to try and create something very similar to a park sketch or a sketch I would do at a live entertainment event. So basically, what you're seeing right now is just me zooming. I don't know if you've noticed the pinching technique there, but that's how I zoom in and out. As long as you're using both fingers at the same time when you're pinching and moving around the canvas, you will not be leaving any marks. So just keep that in mind. You can move the canvas around as much as you want. You can zoom in as far or as back out as much as you'd want. Just make sure that you're using the pinching technique and using two fingers at all times. As soon as you switch over to one finger, you're going to start leaving marks. So what I got going on right now, as I mentioned before, this is the topmost layer. The reason I'm doing that is because later on down the road I'm going to be adding some color in, and I'm going to be utilizing the layers in between the bottom and the top for that, so I'm not interfering with all this black line work I'm doing right now. So as you can see right here, I'm trying to get dagger strokes as best as I can. It's best to start out and then end to get a nice sharp dagger stroke. And yeah, so this is pretty much how the process is going right now. Nothing that different from doing a standard park sketch. It does take a little bit longer than a standard park sketch. As you can see, I've made this a little bit faster for you. Usually when I'm doing a live event, I try and crank out a black and white in the span of 5 minutes and color in 10 minutes. For most digital events, the people that hire you are very understanding of the amount of time it takes, especially with the iPad caricatures, and they're more than happy to bring you on board regardless of the amount of time you spend on the actual drawing. So as you can see here, sometimes the lines don't always come out as thick as you initially want them to, so you have to thicken them up a little bit more by going over the line work. And now I'm just kind of establishing the rest of his neckline. And like I said before, this right here is just to give you an idea as to how the line work is approached for a typical caricature. At live events, there is no undersketch, much like in a theme park environment or a party environment. We just go straight to it. But in this case, for the sake of showing you, especially the beginners, I want to make sure that you guys get to see the undersketch process with the iPad caricatures. So now I'm just blocking in the hair, and once I get that all blocked in, I'm just going to fill it in with some really deep, thick lines. At this point, I have my brush tool set at almost 85 to 90%. So I can just block in all that black area. And later on I'll show you some tricks with the eraser tool to kind of show off some highlights, which you can also do with a white colored brush on the topmost layer. And there you go. Alright, here we got Mr. John Clary. Thanks for volunteering your face, and once I fill in all your teeth, I will hop back on and get some color on you tomorrow. Hopefully you guys have learned something. And watch this. Sketch layer. Ooh, gone. Bam.